I don't know what's more confusing, learning astrology or just being a human. Moonday Musings is here to help with that. A weekly, no bullshit guide for the upcoming cosmic forecast and how you can actually use this in your real life. Hello, neighbor. Happy Monday, my friend. Happy Moonday, and welcome back to another episode of Moonday Musings. If this is your first time here in our witchy little neighborhood, hi, I'm Danny. I'm that witch next door. I'm going to be your host, your guide, your mentor, your spiritual bestie, if you will, in all things modern witchcraft and cosmic living. And here on Moonday Musings, we make sense of the complex world of astrology and figure out ways to practically and mindfully apply it into your real everyday life. This is a special day. This is a special episode because today is Monday, July 21st, and tomorrow, July 22nd, is the 4-year birthday for That Witch podcast, which is just crazy. This day kind of sneaks up on me every year. And it is so cool and so crazy to say that we've been doing this together for 4 years now. The very first episode of That Witch podcast is called Full Moon, Full Heart. And in full honesty, I hate that episode. But I don't know how much any podcaster loves their first episodes. You're figuring stuff out. You're figuring yourself out. And even if you've had a podcast before, it's not this podcast. And it takes time for it to kind of organically come to life and become its own entity. And it's so fresh and new at the beginning. You just don't really have the luxury of feeling into your groove just yet. But the first episode, Full Moon, Full Heart, is a very near and dear episode, of course. It's cool because when that episode came out, we were talking about the Aquarius Full Moon. And July 22nd is usually the first day of Leo season, which is exactly... I planned that when I released the podcast for the first time. And this year, we are welcoming in Leo season tomorrow on the 22nd. But we will be having our Leo new moon this week, a couple of days after. So this episode is a birthday episode, so it's kind of coming full circle in that solar return kind of way. And things look similar but different right now, right? Our first episode ever was full moon in Aquarius energy. And now for the 4th birthday for That Witch podcast, we are in Leo new moon energy. Again, same but different. We're in Leo season, which was the same no matter what. Very, very different lunar phases that I'm excited to talk to you about this week. So I just want to say, hi, happy birthday, That Witch podcast. Thanks, neighbor, for being here. If you haven't been here before and you are learning about witchcraft or learning about astrology, and ultimately you want to find these mindful, intentional, but again, practical ways of applying it into your real everyday life, you are going to want to hit that subscribe or follow button, depending on where you are listening to or watching this episode. But we've got some astro news to get to this week. So without further ado, let's get right into it, my friends. So again, our main astro news this week is going to be our Leo season beginning when the sun moves into its home sign of Leo tomorrow, the 22nd. This is going to take place at 9:29 a.m. Eastern time. Then just a couple of days later this week, on Thursday, the 24th, At 11:28 a.m. Eastern Time, the moon is going to enter into the sign of Leo, which is going to open up our new moon portal. Then new moon exact is going to be a handful of hours later at 3:11 p.m. Eastern Time. This is happening at just 2 degrees of Leo. So that's why this is happening very soon into Leo season, this new moon, because the sun will be only at 2 degrees of Leo, and the moon will meet up with it at 2 degrees of Leo. And our new moon portal will stay open until Saturday, the 26th, this weekend. It will close at 4:55 p.m. Eastern Time on Saturday, the 26th, when it moves into the sign of Virgo. So we're here to talk about some Leo stuff, my friends. This month, leading up to Leo season is Cancer season. And so we already had some Cancer energy. But we've also had Jupiter in Cancer recently, which really kind of amped up the Cancer vibes this month. And Leo, I think, based on my own experience, people I love and have witnessed, and just my own general observations, I think that Leo energy is kind of a welcome energy right now. I think that Cancer season is naturally this already deep feeling, watery season. But I think that with Jupiter in Cancer, we've really got the emotions ramped up. And I've talked to multiple people, and very much myself included, that is like, I can't stop crying. I'm crying all the time. I'm crying for anything and everything. It's been a very, very emotional time. And this isn't just sad crying. This is just like crying almost on command. And for those of you that are not my regular criers, I've noticed that even not so easy to cry folks have been explaining and experiencing that need to cry feeling, like the lump in the back of the throat, the lump in the back of the throat, and just feeling the need for that emotional release. Let me tell you this. Give that energy somewhere to go. And I hope that Leo season can really kind of trailblaze that even more for you and help you find maybe even some new and fun and creative ways of releasing that energy. Leo season comes in after Cancer season and is like, yes, emotions do matter. And emotionality does not have to automatically be this heavy thing. We can really harness our emotional experience and do stuff with it, especially in the creative arts, or how we interact in our relationships, or the things that we take advantage of, the experiences that we go out there and seize and really let ourselves be present in. This is a great time for picking up a brand new hobby. This is also a great time for picking back up an old hobby that you maybe started a long time ago and you've been meaning to get back to. Leo energy loves to love. So including people that you really love spending time with in any type of creative, fun, adventurous endeavor right now is a good way to spend your time. It's summer, after all, in the Northern Hemisphere. And Leo season, when we think of that lion energy, there really is this significant pull or nudge to kind of bask, right? Bask in the sunlight. Maybe that's literal and maybe that's metaphorical for you, depending on where you're at and what it is that you like to do and your relationship to the hot summer sun. But Leo loves to love and just bask in the fun, relax, socialize. And this is when sometimes even the shyest, most introverted parts of ourselves don't mind being seen. This is why we're really, really advised during Leo season to step forward with confidence and embrace boldness and to risk it, to try it, to go for it, to flaunt it, to be unapologetic. All of these beautiful, beautiful Leo concepts. Now, we add a new moon into it. We add this Leo new moon. And this is interesting. The sun rules Leo. So when the sun is in the sign of Leo, it's considered to be in its home or domicile sign. And so our collective sun energy during Leo season, depending on, this isn't like a perfect science. It depends on your chart and how your chart interacts with Leo season, for example. But for the most part, this is a time that our egos can feel a little naturally boosted. That's where some of this natural sense of confidence can come from, albeit a little bit of arrogance potentially. But it's converse, it's counterpart here, the moon. The moon, when it's in the sign of Leo, it doesn't necessarily have a hard time, but it does behave a little bit differently than the sun. It's not as comfortable in the sign of Leo as the sun tends to be. When the moon is in Leo, this is, I'm just going to be like very blunt with you here. This can be a time that insecurities kind of spike. This can be a time that that moon, that lunar energy, if you think of like the moon card in tarot, some of those illusions can kind of come out. And these are through our emotional perceptions. So we can be a little bit more nitpicky of ourselves, but also be aware of projections right now. Pay attention to where you might be over criticizing. Pay attention to where you might be being judgmental to yourself or others. Kind of vanity or vapidness. Again, that almost Mean Girls energy can kind of come along with Leo new moon shadow work. When the moon is in the new phase, this is illuminating our shadows because the moon disappears from the night sky, from our POV, from our Earth-centric point of view. And it brings us into the darkest night of the entire lunar cycle, which means it's not the light that's illuminating, right? Like the full moon, it's darkness is what's reigning. Darkness is what is quote unquote illuminated, kind of an oxymoron there, using the word illuminated to describe darkness. But darkness is abound. And Leo really, really likes light. Really likes light, especially the spotlight. Leo's motto is I show. There is a lot in Leo's journey that has to do with being fully seen and fully illuminated. And so when Leo has to operate in the darkness and in the shadow, it looks a little bit differently than when it's operating under the illumination of a big full moon, or under the big bright sun, the bright summer day sun. So during Leo new moon, while this can be a time that some of those Leo-centric shadows can come up against some insecurity, some judgment, some arrogance, some control issues can kind of come out, being kind of, there's a difference between being the fearless leader and being kind of a dictator leader. And think about what kind of leader you're embodying. Every single one of us has leader archetype within us. I want you to think about how you are embodying your inner leader right now, because how you embody that and work in that is the type of leadership qualities you're reflecting outside of you. So when we all step into this kind of more aligned, more elevated or evolved version of that fearless leader, we play off of each other in a really, really positive, confidence boosting, optimism boosting sense. Now, in these Leo shadows that get brought up, fear not, my friend, because of one of the most beautiful, beautiful things you can do during a Leo new moon and as Leo shadows come up is some really powerfully healing self-love or inner healing, especially through the realms of glamour magic, mirror magic. I'm going to make sure that we link those episodes for everybody. Glamour magic and mirror magic. We've got a couple of great episodes on the podcast already about glamour magic for self-confidence and self-worth, and also a great 101 to mirror magic. And they complement each other so well. They go very, very hand in hand. Mirror magic is very, very, very potent work. Mirrors are incredibly powerful magical tools. And so, you don't want to, I don't treat mirror work lightly. I go into it very, very intentionally. I only work in the mirror when I'm in an emotionally stable enough place to do that. The harsh real truth is that mirror magic and mirror work or glamour magic through the mirror can be an extremely triggering experience for some people. There's a lot of witches that go out there and kind of willy-nilly are like, pull out a mirror and do this. And in my work, in my clientele with my students, I have come across so many people in my own healing work and instructional, educational work as a professional witch. I've come across so many people that mirror work is extremely triggering for them on the mental health level. And so bringing that consideration in on a magical aspect is really, really important. There's a time and a place for it, and it's okay if you're not in a place for it. I'm not always in a place for mirror magic. I can tell you that whether you are like really called to this work and you're like, oh, that sounds like I definitely want to do some mirror work during this Leo no moon, or if on the flip side you're like, I feel a little nervous, I'm definitely one of those people that can have a really hard triggering time even looking at myself in the mirror. Here's what I want to offer you. No matter where you kind of fall on the spectrum, one of the most beautiful, powerful things you can do during this new moon is cleanse the mirrors in your house or home or car or wherever you have like reflective surfaces that you do see yourself in, and you can do some cleansing work. Let's use the easiest example, which is like your bathroom mirror, the mirror in your bedroom, the rear view mirror in your car, right? These are commonplace locations for mirrors that we can almost become like desensitized to seeing our reflection in. So right off of the bat, because of their really consistent daily use, cleansing them energetically is just a great, great thing to do. Think about the other high traffic areas of your house and how they need to be kind of deeply cleaned. You know what I mean? Same thing goes energetically for those mirrors. Also, though, I wanted to give you a different, unique kind of idea and tip here, which is let's say your commute to work, for example, or to school is walking or biking or riding public transportation. And the places that you see your reflection very regularly are in like windows of shops or buildings or cars, etc. You can do your own little ground cleanse protect in lieu of in view of those reflective surfaces, And that is just as powerful a part of cleansing a reflective surface ritual as it is to physically and energetically cleanse your mirror in your bathroom at home, for example. So if you, let's say, ride the bus to work or to a class regularly every day or once or twice a week or whatever it is, let yourself see your reflection, make note mentally of the reflective surface. And then you get to choose based on who you are, your own lifestyle, your own choices, and what feels right for you. You can either gaze at yourself in the reflection while you do a nice little ground, cleanse, protect ritual, or you can just make note, right? Oh, that reflective surface is in front of me. I know this because I saw a glimpse of my reflection. And then you can avert your eyes, but still set your mind's eye or set your heart's intention on that reflective surface that you've just made note of. And then do your ground, cleanse, protect. You know what? For funsies and just to cover our butts, let's make sure that we have all 3 of those episodes in the show notes as well for everybody. So you're going to have a slew of awesome previous episodes. If you're feeling inspired or you're looking to learn more on any of these, especially if this is your first time here before, or if you're just looking for kind of a refresher and review on grounding and cleansing and protecting, I have linked all 3 of those episodes in the show notes for you as well. But I love this for That Witch Podcast's 4th birthday. Ground, cleanse, protect was something that I kind of already had and referenced a little bit prior to the podcast, but it really, really came to life and became nurtured on That Witch Podcast. And that's something that I think a couple of my students have even said, can we get ground, cleanse, protect t-shirts, which I love. And I think that we should get those t-shirts. But ground, cleanse, protect is kind of like our witchy holy trinity. And if you are new to energetic work, or if you're not necessarily new, but again, you are really trying to solidify your understanding and develop your solid practice with some of, if not the most important basics, those 3 episodes, my friend, they are going to set you up beautifully for the Mirror Magic episode and the Glamour Magic episode. Just really a nice ramp to success there for you. But this Leo new moon, I encourage you this week, my friend, to really open your arms to both and energy and open your arms to the natural confidence that the Leo sun illuminates for you, and let yourself really fully illuminate and love those parts of yourself or parts of your life that you've built, you've created, right? Do some self-appreciation here. Let it be known, let it be seen, especially by yourself or of yourself. And don't run away from the insecurities that come up. Don't run away from the shadows that might also come up. With that big, full, beautiful illumination of all the quote unquote good, we will also be illuminated all this other stuff that we might not label as good, and we sweep it under and we shove it behind and we try to ignore, right? Instead of doing that, I encourage you this Leo season, and especially this week at the Leo new moon, to open up your arms of embrace to both, to the parts that are easy to love and the parts that are a little bit harder to love. So I am very excited for our card reading this week. I have not used this deck formally on the podcast before, but it jumped right out at me when I went to my tarot shelf before the episode. This was gifted to me by the incredible Jenny SRP. Jenny is my multimedia witch and my right-hand gal and does all of our beautiful YouTube editing, helps me out in that witch school in the astrology department. We host birth chart hot takes together. She helps me host and run astrology study club, helps a lot of students with their astrology studies. She is a woman of many skills and talents, and I'm so blessed to be gifted so many of them. She gifted this to me this past year for my birthday, I believe, right, Jenny? I'm pretty sure it was my birthday. And it's called the Cosmic Parenting Deck by Dr. Jennifer Freed, PhD. And this is not sponsored in any way, just a very beloved deck that I have now recommended to like an insane amount of people because it's so freaking good. The Cosmic Parenting Deck is called a birth chart deck for kids, parents, and families. My only thing is I would edit that to say a birth chart deck for people in relationships because it doesn't have to be parents and kids. It can also be siblings. It could be friends. It could be romantic partners. It could be polyamorous couples. It could be, there's just so much here. This can be adult kids and parents. It's incredible. Let me show you what this deck is made of and how we are going to use it today. So we're doing a little bit of a unique quote unquote reading today. It's not our traditional style where I'm going to be like intuitively pulling a card at quote unquote random. So this deck is separated into the main planetary placements. So there is an entire section for the moon placements. So there's a moon card in here for every single sign in the zodiac. So beginning with the Aries moon, then the Taurus moon, then the Gemini moon, the Cancer moon, and our Leo moon. We're going to save that one out. And it goes like this, so on and so forth through the deck. So then we get to the sun portion of the deck. We'll save our Leo sun card. But there's a card for the Virgo sun, for the Libra sun, for the Scorpio sun. This goes through, let's see here, the moon, the sun, Mercury, Venus, and Mars, okay? And it has a card for each zodiac sign of each of those planets or placements. Then, on the card, so this is the back of the card. Here's the Leo sun and the Leo moon. On the face of the card, if you will, there's some very, very, very helpful and insightful text that I think you're going to enjoy. What each of these cards have is a section of statements that pertain to the traits, qualities, needs, motivators of that planet within that sign. So we're going to start with the Leo sun here. And this deck is meant to be used. I'm sure there's multiple ways, but the very traditional way to use this is to kind of pull out the placements for your different family members. It's so much fun, absolutely fascinating to do this. So I pulled out the Libra sun for my husband, the Aries moon for him. I pulled out for my daughter the Leo sun for her son. She has a Gemini moon. I pulled Gemini moon. I pulled that card out for her. I pulled out my Pisces moon and my Scorpio sun. In each of these, it tells you these phrases, like I said, about like traits and motivators and qualities of that sign. Then it gives you some do's and don'ts based on those characteristics. It's again, I'll link this in the show notes. It's such a great card for anybody that loves relational astrology, synastry, just comparing charts of different people and placements for different people against one another. Really, really incredible. Also, again, you do not have to be a parent to benefit from this. This can be just such a wonderful study tool, honestly, just a helpful relational tool for you and your close relationships in your life. So how we are going to use it a little bit differently, since we're using this for the collective, we are going to view these cards in a really zoomed out, general way for kind of the different qualities that can be helpful and beneficial, and things that could be quarrelsome or bring up some kind of conflict or issue during this season and during this Leo new moon. So for Leo sun, meaning Leo season energy, in the Leo sun, we are performers. We are big-hearted, commanding, and courageous leaders. And sometimes we're a little bit melodramatic. Here's our big plus signs, our big do's for Leo season. Applaud and celebrate ourselves and others. Surround ourselves with materials for creativity. Be creative together or with loved ones. Encourage each other to be a collaborative and empathetic leader rather than exemplifying or, again, embracing that bossy, like over-charming tyrant, the control freak, the micromanager. The don'ts, the stay away froms, the minus signs, right? Let's not shame ourselves or others for being big and powerful and loving the spotlight right now. Let's not pick apart our performances without acknowledging joy and passion. And let's not expect ourselves or others to know perfectly how to manage ourselves when we get really wound up. I love this note on the last one because this is a nod to some emotional regulation that we might be learning or carrying with us from Cancer season, by the way. And to me, this is saying, leave some room for big feelings. Recognize that people are imperfect and not going to manage themselves at the best of their ability when they're super, super wound up, which we all have experience with. So it's giving a little bit of grace and understanding, maybe to ourselves in some of those situations. Maybe you weren't acting your top 100% best in an extremely heated, overstimulated, or overwhelmed moment. You can learn from that. You can regulate from that, but it's okay that you didn't perform perfectly in that big amplified state. Now, let's talk a little bit about the Leo moon. So I love this because, as you're going to see, we're still in the sign of Leo, but because we are looking through a lunar perspective, our POV shifts just a little bit. So under the Leo moon, our needs can look like needing to express our affection out loud. This goes both ways, needing to express our affection out loud and needing to hear, needing that to be expressed to us. This might be a time that you're needing a little bit more adoration from your loved ones right now. This can also be a time that we need to honor all forms of our self-expression. And this can be a time when we need to be a little more encouraged to also take others' needs into consideration as well. Because we have this big emphasis on self-love and self-needs right now, this can be a time that we can get a little bit wrapped up in that. We might need the reminder, we can also consider the needs of others around us as well. Both and. All right. Our big do's, right? Our big plus sign, let's go for it under Leo moon. Let's do praise imagination within ourselves and others. Let's show ourselves and others how we can be quiet and connected at the same time. I thought that was so, so beautiful for Leo moon energy. Quiet connection can be this really simple but very, very powerful experience during lunar Leo transits. And do ask what yourself or others need most when acting unreasonably. So, whether that's in yourself, in your kids, in your partner, in your coworkers, your friends, whatever it is, when someone is acting unreasonably, especially a person you love really hard, that you love a lot, but you know they're acting unreasonably or irrationally, let's ask what they might be needing. It sounds like a need is trying to be expressed. And again, that can be coming from somebody else outside of us, or that can be us being the ones acting unreasonably. And we need to ask what need is being expressed that I can meet for myself. Now, as for our don'ts or minus signs, right? Trying to avoid, let's try not to shame ourselves or others for huge heartedness and desires for affection. This one hits so home. Something I do is when I leave like a really friendly comment on someone I don't talk to very often's profile, or I like react to their story, or I send like a little message like to something that I saw that they posted, or maybe I try to say like a friendly comment to a stranger out and about. And then I go into that like embarrassment, overthinking, and I'm like, oh my God, you're being such a dork. They're probably going to think you're like obsessed with them and blah, blah, blah. Again, those are the Leo like mean girl shadows coming out and projecting from within me because they're trying to protect me from that emotional vulnerability. I'm really working on a mantra and an affirmation I say for myself when I hit those moments is I'm not going to feel embarrassed for being kind. I have nothing to feel embarrassed or ashamed about for being kind. It's something that was definitely learned, especially in adolescence. It is really common for the kid who is not getting needs met in some part of their life to shit on other kids, for example. This happened in the 90s and 2000s in the female community quite a bit, probably still does. But this is really, this was a really common experience for our adolescent and like teen years is like, oh my God, you're being like such a dork. Like, you're obsessed with them. You're obsessed with me or whatever. And then later on, we translate that into like a negative thing. And so we go to do like a random act of kindness or like to be friendly. And then we go through that same negative narrative and dialogue for ourselves. So this connects for me so much to that experience and that mantra I've been saying for myself, like I'm not going to feel embarrassed or shame myself for being kind to somebody. That attaches to this so easily. Let's not shame ourselves or others for huge heartedness and desires for affection. Let's also not invalidate each other's magical universe. That's a fucking powerful one. That is such a powerful one. Let's not invalidate others' magical universe. And let's not allow ourselves or others to monopolize a conversation or room. And let's give the light and the spotlight to everyone, especially the people who might have a hard time getting up into the light, being allowed into the light, being given the microphone at all in the first place. So let's think about where we might monopolize the conversation and think about who we could potentially lift up in our place so that we're sharing the room and sharing that light. That's a big Leo move. I loved doing this with you this week. This was so fun. And I feel like that was such a great way to piggyback off of our Astro News for the week, is kind of finishing up with these. So again, this is the Cosmic Parenting deck by Dr. Jennifer Freed, PhD. It comes with each of the placement cards in each of the signs, but it also has one final suit, which is the Family Connection suit. And it's just all of these really cool rituals and activities that you can do with your loved ones, with the context that all of these cards provide. It's really, really beautiful. Again, not sponsored at all, just an absolutely beloved deck that I was gifted by the beautiful Jenny SRP. Info for the deck is in the show notes below. Save this episode to come back to later. I would not be surprised if you want to listen to this one again right around or on the Leo new moon. Maybe go back and listen to episode 1, Full Moon, Full Heart. And here's why. Number one, do it with a grain of salt. No. I want you to hear firsthand how far you can come when you first start doing something brand new. And after just sticking through it and sticking with it through the ups and downs and ebbs and flows of life, years later, the kind of progress that you can have. I guarantee listening to this episode versus episode 1, you're going to be able to pick up on those quintessential things that are Danny, no matter what, that you've known to come, that you've come to know and love. But also listen, and I'm sure you'll be able to pick up on pretty easily the differences and how I've relaxed and come into my own and found my groove, like I said, so to speak. But this can be really, really helpful if you are feeling really called and pulled to starting your own big creative project like that right now. Like maybe you want to start your own podcast, for example. This is a big, bright, bold, beautiful time for doing that, my friend. And again, go back and listen to episode 1 or 2, come back and listen to this one or like our last episode, and you will be able to see how far you can come with just like a little bit of weekly dedication. You know, I showed up pretty much every week, except for the weeks that we've had to take some breaks, again, flowing with the natural curves of life. But it's really humbling to fully witness how far we've come, all we've been through together, all that we've created in these hours and hours and hours and hours of episodes together. It's really, really incredible. And I am beyond blessed and lucky to get to do this and hang out with you. My little Leo rising heart is sending you so much love and power and support and fuck yeah energy this week and beyond. Whatever it is that you're setting your sights on, you can fucking do it, my friend. You fucking got this. And let that Leo fire rage you into moving on that and doing something and stepping boldly into your light, my friend. Thank you. Thanks, neighbor, for spending your time with me today and every day. It is my personal dream that we get to just hang out and talk magic together. I hope that you have the most beautiful and abundant start to Leo season and Leo new moon this week. If you need anything, I'm just right around the corner. You can always contact me at thatwitchnextdoor.com/conjurethatwitch. If you love what we do here and you want more of this, plus a freaking dope magical community to be a part of, That Witch School is always open for enrollment. You can get info in the show notes below. And until I see you next time, my friend, I want you to make sure that you're out there staying safe. Don't forget to keep having fun. And of course, stay magical out there. If you are a big fan of That Witch podcast and everything we do here in our witchy neighborhood, I would be so grateful if you could head over and give us a 5-star review on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. This is something that helps boost our reach for the show, and it lets so many others know that what they're getting here at That Witch Podcast is really, really good quality stuff. It only takes a couple of minutes and it's totally free, and it makes a huge, huge difference from one witch to another. Thank you so much for your support, neighbor.